Welcome to the Urban Tree Voucher Program. This program plays a vital role in meeting our conservation goals, and so do each of our customers. Whether it's purchasing, planting, or caring for trees, it has a positive impact on the environment and local community. Before delving deeper into the importance of your role as new tree owners, I want to give a brief history of the land we call home. Being residents of the Evergreen State, a thought that's probably crossed all of our minds when looking out at the mountains or out the window of our vehicles is how thankful we are to be living in such a green and luscious place. Unfortunately, our green landscapes are but a fraction of the vastness that they once were. In pre-colonial times, we had dense and mixed forests, a near-complete canopy cover everywhere you looked. All of those trees acted like an umbrella, slowing rain and dramatically reducing runoff. Over the last few generations, this has all been reduced to less than 20%, replacing it with impervious surfaces like concrete, roofs, or things that cannot soak and cleanse pollution. The problem with stormwater runoff is that when the water hits the ground, it carries harmful chemicals and contaminants with it into local waterways like streams and rivers, affects plants, wildlife, and even our local drinking water. In other words, it has the opposite effect of trees and vegetation, which is to slow water and naturally filter out harmful pollutants. Luckily, there is a solution to this problem. Mason Conservation District was fortunate to receive federal funding under the Puget Sound National Estuary Program that is providing financial support of an urban forestry program in the City of Shelton. With this support, we are able to provide a limited number of tree vouchers to City of Shelton residents wanting to positively impact their community with a beautiful new addition to their landscape and a stormwater solution. As you all know, we also offer what you're viewing right now, which is our educational workshop. It's at these workshops that you can learn about the impact you're making and even learn to plant and care for trees properly so that they will last for generations to come. Ultimately, our goal is to maximize the number of trees in the ground, especially in urban areas. If we can offset the lack of canopy cover, then we can also maximize the benefits. To review, we've talked about what trees mean for water quality and how they help mitigate stormwater in urban areas, filter water, reduce runoff and erosion, and even drainage infrastructure. If you thought that was a lot, trees have a ton of environmental, economic, and human health benefits too. An environmental benefit of trees is that they create a habitat and safe haven for insects, bacteria, and animals. Trees are extremely effective at reducing air pollution, which makes planting trees in the urban areas that most of us live in a great idea. How do trees help us economically? Landscaping with trees raises property value up to 20%. We've all caught ourselves admiring that cute house with the big, beautiful tree in the front yard while out on a walk around the neighborhood. Additionally, businesses with trees in close proximity experience more than a 10% rise in business revenue and customer numbers. So you can see that trees are looking out for our financial well-being. And if you're a homeowner, the presence of trees near your home can save you up to 50% on heating and cooling, as trees absorb heat and cool the local atmosphere. Trees can also help make us healthier as human beings. Trees are constantly working to lower CO2 levels and raise healthy O2 levels. Trees also provide us with sun protection and shield us from overexposure to harmful UV rays. What our customers often find to be the most surprising is that the presence of trees actually help to lower blood pressure, stress, and ADHD outbreaks. Better performance at schools and businesses with green spaces have also been frequently reported. And remember, the larger the tree, the bigger the benefit. We really want to maximize the benefits that larger trees bring. Not only do they act like a super sponge, they intercept and filter more contaminated air and water, and store more water and CO2. This cedar intercepts over 6,000 gallons of stormwater runoff per year. In comparison, the apple tree intercepts just 30 gallons per year. That's 200 times less runoff intercepted than the cedar. The cedar also absorbs over 700 pounds of atmospheric CO2 per year, while the apple tree absorbs about 40 pounds per year. That's about 20 times more CO2 that the cedar absorbs than the apple tree. It is important to remember that large trees may not be logical for all of you, but it's something we want you to keep in mind. After you pick up your trees, we hope you feel inspired and can go on to encourage your friends, neighbors, and coworkers to follow in your footsteps. Planting trees today is essential for future generations. Next, we're going to talk about tree placement and planting. As you can see, this image demonstrates several aspects of proper tree placement. Let's walk through this. First, consider the mature height of your tree and anything above where the full canopy will be at maturity. For power lines, make sure your tree will not grow into them, which is generally a tree under 25 feet. Otherwise, you may end up with a tree that looks like this, as utility companies will protect that asset over the tree. Secondly, consider that you are not only planting a tree stem, but that stem will grow to become a trunk, and branches typically grow larger than the roof of a building. Larger trees should be placed even further. If the tree's crown is expected to reach 20 feet in diameter, plant it at least 10 feet, or half its width, away from your home or any buildings. This photo shows a tree that was planted too close to the home. Third, do not plant your tree too close to your property line. One reason is because you don't want to have the tree grow into any fencing, like shown. But also remember that the canopy that hangs over your neighbor's property of a tree grown on your property can be cut by your neighbor. So, if that may happen when the tree is mature, make sure to talk about that with your neighbor first. And the last piece of advice is to keep your tree at least 2 feet from pavement, like a sidewalk or driveway. And actually, unless your tree is approved for a street tree, where the roots go deep and not subsurface, we recommend 10 feet from pavement. Different trees have different root structures, and some go deep and not wide, while others go wide but not very deep. You do not want your tree to damage your property, so think about this when you are placing your tree. The biggest piece of advice we can give is to remind you that you have one time to place this tree in its forever home, to grow for up to 100 years while improving your property, neighborhood, and environment. So always remember to call 811 before you dig. Once you have selected your tree placement, it's time to plant it. Start by locating the root collar. It is important to find this before digging the hole, as it will keep you from planting your new tree too deep. The root collar should not be below the ground when you are done with the planting. Then, dig the hole 2 times wider than the root ball and just as deep as the root ball itself. Next, prepare the root ball for planting. Massage the root ball and untangle circling roots so that the plant can really stretch out and get comfortable. Compost is great to add as it helps the tree retain moisture. For mulch placement, place a 1 foot wide ring around the tree and maintain just a bit of space between the mulch and trunk. Ensure the tree is straight up and down. If it begins to lean, stake it for a year. It is okay to stake your young tree for the first year, but if you do, remove the stake from right up against the tree stem and move it about 3 inches away and resecure. You don't want the stem to grow into the plastic ties. You will want to water your tree for the first 3 years during the dry months. This is generally in April, when we get showers but not deep rains, through September. Remember, your tree wants 10 to 15 gallons of slowly released water for each watering. A good watering schedule to follow is 2 times per week for the first year, 1 time per week for the second year, and every other week for the third year. After that, if your tree looks thirsty, water it, as our summers are getting longer and warmer and the tree may need additional help while still young. If you have any questions about your tree, there are a few resources we can recommend. The first is Master Gardeners. They have regular office hours at their office in Shelton. You can find out what those are on the Mason County Master Gardener website. Arborists are another great option. Don't mistake this with a tree service, as tree services are in the business of selling you tree removal. Certified arborists want to create healthy, thriving trees and look at soil conditions, tree damage, disease location, and then recommend the best solution to save your tree. And third, there's always us. Always feel free to contact Mason Conservation District with questions, and if we don't have the answer, we work to find the answer out for you. And